Food Hussy here today, and we are back with another amazing recipe. This is a copycat recipe from Longhorn Steakhouse, but it's not steak. It's Brussels sprouts. They have the most amazing Brussels sprouts. I had them once and I knew I had to come right home and make them. These Brussels sprouts, you think, why do I want to eat Brussels sprouts? Because they're awesome. We've got honey and maple syrup and spicy stuff. So when you put that all together, you kind of don't even realize you're eating a Brussels sprout. So let's get started and make these Copycat Longhorn sweet and spicy Brussels sprouts. First thing we're gonna do is get a pot of water boiling because we need to blanch the Brussels sprouts. So we've got water on here and you wanna be generous. While the water's boiling, you also wanna preheat your oven to 400 degrees. We're gonna trim the Brussels sprouts and then blanch them for 4 minutes. This just par cooks them a little bit so we get some of that toughness out of there, and then we're gonna pop them in the oven to roast them. For trimming the Brussels sprouts, you're just gonna cut off the ends and keep all those loose leaves as well, because the loose leaves are really good when they get crispy. Here's a little knife skills tip I learned from Food Network's Ann Burrell on Worst Cooks in America. I've always found myself chopping vegetables with my finger on the knife. That is a no-no, and she will mark you with a big red marker when you do that. You actually get more control from the blade and from the knife if you hold it like this, quite close to the blade, but do not put your finger on the top. And then when you're cutting, you cut down and kind of rock the knife back and forth. You have a lot more knife control if you do that. So remember, no more of this. Pull your finger back. Okay, we're going to blanch the Brussels sprouts for 4 minutes. And again, like I said, that par cooks them a bit. And you're gonna wanna turn your heat down so it's more of a simmer than a hard boil. And just pop these Brussels sprouts in. Don't drop them because you don't wanna burn yourself. Don't drop them like I did. Okay, companies out there, I'm a really good cook and I have a lot of followers. And my pans are really old and crappy. So if you wanna send me some new pans, I'm here. Now we're gonna drain our Brussels sprouts. And get a facial while we're at it from the steam. See, I could have paid $100 for that. No, just made some Brussels sprouts. All right, we have our Brussels sprouts out. Now we're gonna put them in an ice bath. This stops the cooking and gets them cooled off really quick so we can handle them and cut them into smaller pieces. Get all those individual leaves out too. And they just need to be in the ice bath long enough so that they're cooled off and the cooking stops. Our oven's preheated. Okay, our Brussels sprouts are cooled off. What we're going to do is we're going to cut these into smaller, more bite-sized pieces, and then we're gonna pop them onto a pan. Now I've got this roasting pan here and I've lined it with parchment just because these won't really stick that much, but it's much easier to clean up with this parchment liner. So we're gonna take our Brussels sprouts, and this is a giant sprout, so we're gonna cut it into 4s, but others that are smaller, you can just cut in half. All right, now that we have all of our Brussels sprouts into bite-sized pieces, and make sure you keep all those loose leaves because they taste really good when they get crispy. We're gonna sprinkle this with olive oil and salt and pop it in the oven. Now with olive oil, I got this carafe from Williams-Sonoma, I think, and I always keep my olive oil in it. I have a big ugly jug of olive oil and I just refill it. It is so nice to pour out of and just looks a lot nicer on the counter. So I'll leave a link for that below as well. I also just recently upgraded to one of these little salt jars. And I always use coarse sea salt because it's just, I love the chunk salt that you get a little bite of when you're eating. And this comes with like a little spoon and I think it's teak, and then it's got a marble lid that you put on. So this again was like 10, 15 bucks. And it's just so nice to just always, if you cook a lot, just grab a little bit of pinch of salt. All right, we're gonna pop this in the oven for 20 minutes at 400 degrees to roast these Brussels sprouts. Okay, we're ready to make our sauce. While those Brussels sprouts are roasting in the oven, we're gonna mix together our sauce. And this is really, I mean, who we kidding? Nobody wants to eat just plain old Brussels sprouts. Okay, I do, but these are so much better because of all this sauce and what we're gonna put in it. So first, we've got 2 tablespoons. We've got a little bit of melted butter that we're gonna put in here. I love these itty bitty spatulas. I got them at Dollar Tree and they're so great. All right, we're also going to add in some red pepper flakes. We're going to add in a tablespoon each of maple syrup and a tablespoon of honey. All right, so we've got our butter, honey, syrup, we've got red pepper flakes, but now we're gonna add in some seasonings that all kind of look the same, but they're very different. So first off, we've got chili powder. This is what adds more spice to it. Oh my goodness, so much good flavor in all these spices. Keep that little handy spatula by. And then we've got paprika, and I like to use a smoked paprika because it adds a little bit of that smoky flavor in there, and if you smell it, you'll know. You'll be like, whoo, smoke. Yummy. We're using a half a teaspoon of each of these spices. And then lastly, chipotle pepper. So a lot of times you'll buy those chipotle and adobo, the small cans of chipotle, but it's kind of a pain because then you're left with this half a can and what are you gonna do with it? So I like to use the chipotle pepper seasoning. It's just ground up and it has all that smoky, delicious flavor, but it's just much easier to use. So we're gonna pop that in there as well. Now we're gonna whisk it all together, and this sauce is what we'll put over top of the Brussels sprouts once they're done roasting in the oven. Oh, I would say to dab in and try it, but it's gonna be a little spicy, so if you like spice, go ahead. But once you sprinkle it and drizzle it all over the Brussels sprouts, it's not super spicy. It just adds this lovely kick to the Brussels sprouts that makes little mini cabbages taste so much better. All right, so this is all whisked up and ready to go. All right, so we've got our Brussels sprouts out of the oven. Now we're gonna plate them up and drizzle our amazing sauce over top. And really, this is a quick recipe. It's delicious, and it takes Brussels sprouts to a whole new level. And I promise you, even if you have someone in the family that's like, I don't wanna eat Brussels sprouts, make them try this. I might have a videographer that doesn't like Brussels sprouts, and we'll see if he'll try a bite. All right, now we're gonna drizzle our sauce over the top. You might wanna stir it up again. After it sits for a few minutes, it's gonna get a little solid. So you're just gonna wanna drizzle the sauce over top of your Brussels sprouts. And we're gonna toss it together to make sure that they all have some of this yummy coating. Stir those together, and then you wanna get the ones from the bottom and the top, so that we make sure every little Brussels sprout is coated with this sweet and spicy yumminess. Okay, these Longhorn Brussels sprouts are finally ready to get in my belly. So let's try a taste. Right off the bat, you get that smokiness and that sweetness from the maple syrup, smokiness from the chipotle powder. Oh, these are the best Brussels sprouts. I'm telling you, even if my videographer guy, even if he doesn't want to eat it, I'm gonna eat this whole bowl. It's not gonna be hard. I really like Brussels sprouts. I better go. It's really good though. Okay, thanks for coming.